Alright, so this is for the subject strategic business analysis, and the topic is still product management. So this one is a bit more detailed than the previous one. So we have here an article from productplan.com, Ultimate Guide to Product Management. Okay. So again, introduction. The question, what is product management, comes up pretty often, even from experienced business people. One reason is that product management encompasses a wide-ranging area of responsibilities. So again, from product development to production and then to marketing. And then after the marketing, of course, you have your product life cycle. So you have your introduction, growth, maturity, and then the retirement of the product. So indeed, the role itself means very different things in different organizations. Here is the most concise response we've come up with for the what is product management question. Product management is the practice of strategically driving the development, market launch, and continual support and improvement of a company's product. So essentially, it's the process. You have your development, market launch, support, after sales, and then of course monitoring the performance of the sales of the product, as well as the reaction of the customers. Are they satisfied or not? And then the improvements if the customers have other ones for the product. Okay. This is an abstract explanation of the role. So what is product management? What does the job entail? Okay. Product management. The day-to-day tasks include a wide variety of strategic and tactical duties. Most product managers or product owners do not take on all these responsibilities. In most companies, at least some of them are owned by other teams or departments. So essentially, it's distributed among departments. But most product professionals spend the majority of their time focused on the following. First is conducting research for the product development, researching to gain expertise about the company's market, user personas, and competitors. Okay, so if the company is already existing and they already have existing products and they're just trying to introduce a new one for the market, then conducting research is going to be helpful as well, because they would want to create a product that is in line with the already existing products of the company. Okay, it would be as for new companies who would like to research what product to put out into the market that will be received well, then research would be more expensive. Okay, in a way. Okay, developing strategy, shaping the industry knowledge they've learned into a high-level strategic plan for their product, including goals and objectives, a broad strokes overview of the product itself, and maybe a rough timeline. Okay. So in a way, this is just a draft of their plan, their strategy on what kind of product they want, the goals and objectives, what do they want to achieve with a certain type of products. In Red Ocean, of course, there's not much goals and objectives there except for the profit. But for Blue Ocean business strategy, so in a way, they would like to solve a certain problem or address a certain need or want of the customers. Okay, so essentially this is just an overview or a rough draft of what they want the product to be, and they would also include a rough timeline. How soon can they put this out in the market? How long would be the development, and then all the others before the launch or introduction of the product to the market, and probably how long the life would be, considering the current factors in the market. Okay, although that one would be a little difficult to estimate because of competition. There's a possibility of other companies putting out the same market into the same product into the market. Next, we have communicating plans, developing a working strategic plan using a product roadmap and presenting it to key stakeholders across the organizations, executives, investors, their development team, etc. Ongoing communication across their cross-functional teams throughout the development process and beyond. Okay, so essentially you need a roadmap so that you would know. Essentially, this is a guide of what you want to happen during a particular period. In the roadmap, you have all the steps that you need to take for the management of the product or the development of the product, and also you also have the timeline. How many months is this process going to take, and then how many days, weeks, or months the next process is going to take, and then which of these activities can be done simultaneously, or which was can only be done after the preceding ones are executed. So there are things like that, okay? And then of course, important is communication. You have your cross-functional teams. In a cross-functional team, so you have different people from different departments or from different expertise or fields. So either you have your someone from the development team in the research and development, someone from the production, someone from the sales, marketing, accounting, finance. Of course, you have your executives, you have your HR for the people, for the workers who would work on the product. Okay, so it's a cross-functional team, right? And not everyone have the same knowledge. Okay, so communication is essential. If you want them to, do well together, communication is key. They should understand why a certain step is being undertaken, what's the role of it, what's the importance of it, so that they would be more supportive of the process. Because some people, when they don't understand a certain process, they'd be, reluctant to do their part. They'd be like, why are we doing this? Sometimes it would seem, stupid or dumb to other people. But once you explain it, once you properly communicate the importance of a certain a certain step, then, there would be the understanding, and through understanding there comes the support. Okay, coordinating development, assuming they have received a green light to move forward with their product strategic plan, coordinating with relevant teams, product marketing, development, etc., to begin executing the plan. Okay, normally the green light, of course, given by the top. Okay, if budget has been approved, if they are allowed to properly organize their team and then work on the product management. Okay, so again, from development to production to marketing. Acting on feedback and data analysis. Finally, after building, testing, and introducing the product to the marketplace, learning via data analysis and soliciting direct feedback from users, what works, what doesn't, and what to add. Working with the relevant teams to incorporate this feedback into future iterations of the product. So you have your innovation. Okay. What isn't product management? So product managers owning the day-to-day details of a product's development is a common misconception. As we described, okay, this is the role of a product manager. Product management is a strategic function tasking product managers with determining a product's overall reason for being, the product's why. So essentially the purpose of the product, the benefits, the features, the functions. They're also responsible for communicating product objectives and plans for the rest of the company. They must ensure everyone is working toward a shared organizational goal. Again, should be aligned with the overall business goal or business objective. Product management encompasses a broad set of ongoing strategic responsibilities. They shouldn't be responsible for the ground level details of the development process. So in a way, they're like supervisory level, and then you have your middle managers that would be what do you call that? Supervising how things are done at the ground level. Okay. Essentially, there's no micromanaging or something. Smart organizations separate this function and assign tactical elements to project managers, such as scheduling and managing workload. So those are project managers. Okay. Essentially, why we call it project is that there's just a specific types of activities that they're doing, and that's the only only activities that they'll be doing. So much specific and less broad compared to product management. This distinct division leaves the product manager free to focus on the higher level strategy. Okay, so in a way, you have your product manager here at this level, somewhat supervisory, if not top. Okay, you have your top, you have your supervisory product management, and then you have your middle managers who are managing the ground level workers. Okay. What does effective product management look like? With a shared understanding of product management scope, we can dig into what it takes to be a product manager. Product managers find their way by following the paths of those who came before them. So, learning from your ancestors or those who came before you. And those more experienced in the profession have plenty of lessons to offer their peers and newcomers. You can get a degree in product management. There's no single career path to get there. It's more about the skills required to do the job well than a particular pedigree. Okay, first off is communication, because you will be managing people from different departments who came from different, areas of expertise or fields of profession. So you have to be able to communicate with each of them. In a way, you need to have a little bit understanding of everything so that you'll be able to communicate well with them. Communication skills leap to the top of the list when considering what it takes to be a successful product manager. So many aspects of the job rely on prowess in this domain. To solicit and gather feedback, product managers need to be great listeners. They must know how to work those relationships and exhibit significant customer empathy. Okay? Of course, customers aren't the only source of input to the prioritization process. Product managers must also work with various stakeholders to understand their goals and needs. After that, product managers must succinctly convey the product's mission. It should be a synthesis of all those inputs turned into something easily consumable and that others can be inspired by. Okay? With visions, goals, and the roadmap defined, product managers must socialize and evangelize these pillars of the product to the entire organization. It's all about creating alignment, generating buy-in, support, and getting the whole company on the same page, including leveraging public forums such as all-hands meetings, as well as smaller forums and one-on-one sessions. Once the plans for the product begin taking shape, the product managers must work extensively with the product development organization. That's the first step. This collaboration includes engineers who might not always get along well with product managers, as well as architects and quality assurance teams. Okay. Sometimes the product managers who demand something that these engineers or architects or designers might feel, out of this world or not possible, maybe not. Okay, so there could be a gap there. To create a fantastic user experience, product managers must also collaborate with UX designers. Nurturing HR partnership and not being merely transactional is key to delivering exceptional products. Finally, as the product gets ready to launch, there's another round of communication and coordination. Product management must educate and edit marketing plans for the product. They also must provide the sales team with the necessary training and talking points they'll need, for them to be able to properly present the product. Alright? So essentially, that's the process of communicating. And then you have your technical skills. There may be no debate quite as polarizing in the product management community as the subject. Just how technical must a product manager be? Will non-technical product managers become extinct? So again, product manager, there is no debating that a product manager must have some level of technical understanding, of course. Luddites don't make great products managers, at least not for software products. Product managers must be conversant enough in the fundamentals for meaningful dialogue with engineering. They must understand if they're creating a massive amount of technical debt with their decisions, as well as managing down existing debt. And they should probably be knowledgeable enough to use their product and relate to the customers it's intended to serve. Okay. However, there's no rule that product managers must know how to code or run an SQL query on a database. While those might be practical skills, a product manager won't be doing those things daily. And in organizations where there is an actual need for product managers within the technical know-how, they can always hire a technical product manager to fill that role. The gap between managers without technical skills and those that do, sometimes communication process again. The product manager could demand something that the the team or whoever he's talking to cannot deliver for, certain simple facts that it cannot be done, it's just not done, or there's no technology for it yet. So there's going to be communication there, and it needs to be properly communicated, and that would take time. That's going to consume time. And if the manager feels that maybe you can do this, other companies are doing this, I've seen technology doing this already, but sometimes it would use up resources. Maybe the team would say that, well, they are a big company, they have the resources, they have a great team, they probably hire the best minds in the industry. They could have done it, but this team cannot. So there are certain things like that, right? But if the product manager already has the technical skills, being able to understand what's going on in the industry, then they'll be like, oh, okay, I already know. Okay, so something like that. Although it's fine to, solicit advice or suggestions from the team, from the others. And then, going back here at communication skills, it's also important that whenever there's a feedback or suggestion, if it's going to be accepted, then presentation-wise, give credit, okay? And then for those feedback or suggestions that has not been accepted or included in the final proposal, then it's also important to provide a response on why these certain suggestions have been put aside first. Is it going to be used some other time, or is it just not going to work overall? Okay, and there should be a proper explanation. Okay. Alright, thirdly, we have business savvy. When product managers dub themselves the CEO of the product, they're generally referring to this category of skills. Product managers may or may not carry responsibility for a product's revenue, but they're integral to making sure the product is financially and strategically successful. Okay, it starts by defining a vision and goals for the product. While these may come from the founder or executive team, top management, once established, the product management must own them, translating those abstract ideas into the tactics required to make them a reality is all part of the job. Okay, other duties such as finding product market fit, who to sell the product to, and assessing requests from customers, feedback, suggestions, and prospects also require keen business smarts. To do so, product managers must think strategically, even when dealing with, minutiae. No choice is inconsequential. They must dynamically consider all possible repercussions to avoid negative impacts on the customer experience or sales. And then there are the numbers. Product managers must be conversant in the metrics that matter. So they should understand the figures, the metrics, you have your sales. Although you have a high amount of sales, you have to check the cost. And then, of course, you have your gross profit margin, and then you have your net profit margin. Okay. They must use data-driven decision-making to propel the product forward. Growth, revenue, and profitability all fall under product management's purview, even if they're not directly responsible for them. So, because most of the time, they are in a way responsible, because again, good product plus good marketing is what makes it very profitable for the business. All right. Roadmaps, product management showcase. So we might be a bit biased that there's no single aspect of product management as pivotal as a product roadmap. So essentially, it's the plan again. You have all your activities lined up, and you have clear goals on each of them, and then you have your timeline on when you're going to have to achieve them. And of course, there are also metrics, success rate or percentage of execution. How much change do you want to see after each activity has been executed? Okay. It's possible, increase in production units, or increase in revenue, increase in profit, or retention of workers, or maximizing marketing budget, things like that. Okay, but of course, they should be lined up properly in the roadmap. It's a culmination of countless hours of research, negotiation, strategizing, and consensus building. Okay, so you can watch this one. Wow, it's 1 hour. Okay. But again, I will be providing the link of this article in the description of the video, so you can check this out. Product roadmap set the agenda and set expectations for the entire organization. They set a course for the future and provides a point of reference to inspire the whole organization. So again, you have your activities, you have the timeline, and then of course you also have the expected result from that particular activity. So let's say after spending this much money on marketing, they're looking at increasing, let's say, the sales by 500 units or 5,000 units, okay, whatever it is, right? And then when they review the roadmap after executing a particular action, of course, you're going to see the results and were they able to achieve that particular result. Okay, if they did, then that's great. It's something to celebrate. But if not, then they might have to, do a bit of change in their future actions or improve or essentially assess what went wrong, why they weren't able to achieve that particular goal or objective. Okay, so the following activities, they have to, what do you call that? Not exactly impose, but to effect the changes, okay, from what they learned because of that particular activity that they have reviewed, right? But what's on the roadmap is only half the battle. Okay, of course, again, it's the execution. The other part is figuring out what kind of roadmap makes the most sense for the audience, the product's maturity, and the time frame it covers. One size doesn't fit all. Of course, you have your small businesses, medium, and large. They would have different approaches to a particular activity. Although the first step is prioritizing the various initiatives and features using a prioritization framework. Define the parameters of your roadmap metrics. Will it be based on themes? Will it include specific features at all? Setting the ground rules for the roadmap scope and level of detail are the hard part. Plugging in everything is easy, then it's time to rely on those communication skills and showcase the final product. Okay, so you have here the two markets, B2B, business to business, and then B2C, business to customers. Two markets, but not two different worlds. One common belief in product management is that there is a vast difference between working on B2B and B2C products. While there are certainly some distinct aspects between those two worlds, they have plenty in common. Okay? For B2C, your users are generally also your buyers, and you're serving a single persona. For B2B, the person controlling the budget is often unrelated to the person who will use the product regularly. After identifying each persona, product managers can spend time tailoring the product and the pitch for each one of them. Okay. Both situations require multiple value propositions. You have to present numerous features, numerous benefits, or functions that a product or service can deliver. Even single consumers are looking for numerous reasons to buy and use a product. Messaging should always speak to practical, emotional, and financial justifications for taking the plunge. Okay, practical, what are the use functions? Emotional, is it going to help solve something? Or is this going to support a movement or an advocacy? And then financial, is it affordable or is the price reasonable? Things like that. It impacts the sales process. A B2B sale takes a lot more convincing and having to win over many hearts and minds for a single transaction. In B2B, normally, who you're talking to are executives as well, decision makers of the company. So in a way, it's much harder to convince them to source out their materials or their products from your business. And the cost of acquisition will be higher and the growth rate lower for a B2B product. But with proper expectations, there's no reason the same skills and experiences can't be transported from one market to the other. Product managers shouldn't feel pigeonholed into only working in one market or the other. It just might take a little more convincing during the hiring process to shake them out of their false preconceptions. But essentially, after you've gotten a B2B sale, an existing relationship with another business, it's actually it makes it more easy, or it makes it easier for you to sell your products because you already have existing businesses to sell to, right? It's the acquisition or convincing them to do business with you that's the challenge. Optimizing product management operations. Product managers have an often overwhelming amount of obligation. Time is a precious commodity. They must be efficient and organized to conduct the necessary conversation and meetings while still having enough bandwidth actually to get some work done. So again, you have that responsibility to talk to your customers, B2B or B2C, but normally in B2B more extensively. And then of course you have to still oversee the development, the production, and the marketing of the product. Okay. Making decisions and getting internal consensus on those decisions can be a huge time suck. It's going to consume a lot of time, okay? Even if you just, call for meetings. To get through them all promptly, product managers must find a scalable way to get to an agreement quickly, okay? Clearly defined rules and a consistent process let the parties involved focus on the subject at hand. A divide and conquer approach is another tactic for getting more done in less time, recognizing the core strengths of everyone available, splitting up tasks, and delegating things lets product managers focus on what they do best while not neglecting anything else that's important, right? So there's no need to call for everyone in a meeting. So sometimes you just need to call those who you actually need to talk to. If there's a particular concern, and it only involves a certain group or a certain team, a certain department, then you just talk to them. There's no reason for you to involve all the others. But again, if the particular decision or changes that you're going to implement will also affect some other departments, then you have to inform them as well. Okay. So if, for example, you're planning to make marketing more extensive because you're going to increase the sales. Okay, you did talk to marketing, you did talk to sales department, but you did not inform the production that you're going to want more products into the market, then there is a problem there. Okay, you have to ensure that everyone is properly informed. Okay, they might not be involved now, but in a way, if it would affect their performance as well, then you have to inform everyone. Product managers can also borrow some useful skills from their project management counterparts. This includes defining explicit scopes and sticking to them, cutting down on diversions and rattles, or really focus. It's additionally helpful to create clear action plans and communicate them to relevant leads to be sure everyone knows what they're responsible for and understand the expectations. Even how product managers schedule their day can lead to increased output and higher quality working sessions. By minimizing context switching, there are people who are, easily distracted during meetings, and it's a waste of time, to be honest. So you have to be very focused and only talk about the agenda or what you are there for, right? Product managers can cluster similar tasks together to maintain product and limit distractions. This includes making time for strategic thinking. It's tough to take a deep dive into a particular subject when there are constant interruptions. Product managers must carve out time for this critical task and create an environment where they can concentrate, right? Internal and external meetings, unavoidable for project managers. They have the potential to offer tons of value, but when mismanaged, they can turn unproductive and suck up time they don't have to spare. Okay, it's already time consuming, so if you get distracted and do other things with your time, then that's a waste. Among other meeting tips for product managers, the focus is on efficiency. Okay, less time to do the job done. Whether it's limiting attendance or defining a narrow scope, the goal is to have a purpose. Focus on the purpose, address the issue. Stick to the plan and get it over with as fast as possible. Follow through is also essential. Follow up. Product managers should be taking notes and circulating key information, as well as clarifying any action items before everyone leaves. Of course, the best advice of all might be keeping the meeting altogether if it proves to be more distracting than beneficial. Okay. I've been to, some meetings, and there would be times that some departments would raise their issues, but it does not affect everyone in the meeting. It's just between that particular department and the manager or the one leading the meeting. And it's like, why don't you just talk about this later on your own? Don't involve us, don't waste our time, something like that. Okay. Capitalizing on customer meetings. While internal meetings may seem like a chore, meeting with customers is one of the best parts of the job. It's an opportunity to capture unfiltered insights of feedback, ideas, and inspiration that can help product managers power through the less than awesome aspects of the situation. Okay, this is good if there's enough time, but sometimes it's not directly the product manager that gets involved with this. Sometimes it's in the probably a different team would be assigned to do this, to get feedback from customers. Okay, probably the research department or something, the ones doing the survey, or maybe sales feedback. Okay, meeting directly with customers is always preferable, probably for VIPs or bulk customers or wholesale customers. It's always preferable to be relying on coworkers in sales or support to funnel information back to the product. Okay, so maybe there's a possibility of bias. Sales team, sales support, they do receive feedback, but they don't want to look incompetent or trashy. So sometimes they would only provide customer feedback that are good, so that it would make them look good. But sometimes they would be reluctant to provide all the negative feedback from the customers, because they might think that it would also affect their performance or something. So that could be avoided if the product manager would go directly to the customer to get their feedback. But it's inefficient, to be honest. This may not always be possible, but product managers should seize these opportunities when they arise. While sales and support might bring back valuable tidbits, they're conducting conversations with customers through the lens of their particular job. The sales team is trying to gin up more business. Support is aiming to solve the customer's problems and move on quickly. Okay. As a product manager, the only goal is to understand the customer better, so the product experience can be improved and enhanced. Okay. The feedback should be used for improvement. These conversations can yield invaluable context for using the product and where they're encountering challenges. Product managers should also take some worthwhile detours to explore other ancillary opportunities where the product could potentially be even more valuable or helpful to users. Okay. Have you experienced that? Have you seen that? There have been products wherein they have these features, uses, benefits, but when it gets into the hands of the consumers, there would be some consumers or clients or customers who would use it differently, in a way it's not originally intended for, but it works. Okay. So when it gets to, when the feedback goes back to the business, to the project manager, they'll be like, okay, why didn't we think of that? And then, of course, if it's a good thing, they would probably include it in their marketing or something, right? Sometimes it's the customers that would show how a product could be, maximized and used a different way. Or sometimes, of course, they would also show the weaknesses of the product, right? But it's all feedback that could be used properly. Product management needs an established process for handling this feedback. Ideas worth pursuing must be captured and tracked. Whether they are eventually slotted into a release or discarded, customers who provided suggestions should be informed either way. This follow-up will encourage future feedback, and it shows customers their input is appreciated. Okay. Not only customers, but also everyone in the team. And while it may not always be pleasant, it's also great to have conversations with ex-customers. Using exit interviews to collect churn feedback can shine a spotlight on key product flaws, or shortcomings that might cause other users to call it quits. Okay, so as soon as they have that information, they should work to resolve them so that it would not further harm the business or the product itself. It may also uncover disconnects in product market fit or pricing that is motivating some customers to abandon the product. Of course, you have to check the competition as well. Are there substitute products or are there cheaper products? Okay. Updating your product management toolbox. Product managers have more options than ever when it comes to tools. They cover a wide range of tasks and areas that product managers are responsible for. This includes solutions for tracking user behavior, including heat mapping and session replays. This is much easier done for software products, apps, websites, online experience. Plus, there are surveying tools for gathering feedback. There are also a host of new options for collaboration. It encompasses asynchronous messaging, voice chats, file sharing, and document editing. So this is for working in teams. For demos, presentations, and onboarding, product managers can turn to web conferencing tools that support screen sharing and recording. Okay, this can also be co-opted for low budget usability testing, as product managers can ride along while users complete tasks using their products. Quickly visualize concepts and workflows with wireframe tools and flowcharts. So again, these are tools. Okay, we're discussing tools here. Product management tools have also made a massive impact on how product managers keep track of things. There's no excuse to be managing your life and projects in a spreadsheet. Sometimes you do. And of course, there's a pretty good tool for creating roadmaps we're quite fond of. By relying on some of these solutions, product managers can increase the efficiency. The goal is always efficiency. Do things better, faster, with lesser cost or lesser resources. Become better collaborators and make sure nothing falls through the cracks. But ensuring quality pa rin. Product managers shouldn't be shy about asking for a tool's budget. Their time is just as valuable as other contributors, right? Organizational options. Agile has been around for a while in the product development world. Okay, a newer concept that brings the dynamic, nimble, responsive qualities of Agile to the entire organization. I think they're talking about some sort of software. One permutation of this approach is the concept of product squads, pioneered by Spotify. They are autonomous teams with a group of developers and one product owner. Assigned to a particular functional area of the product, they're able to track the challenge freely. They can rapidly deliver value to the market while building in-house expertise on the subject. Product squads may or may not make sense for a particular company or product. If it doesn't apply, then don't force yourself to use it. But they're a great example of how product teams can reconfigure themselves to respond to opportunities more dynamically. Freed up from bureaucratic oversight, ad hoc or permanent groups can take ownership and drive rapid innovation. And then we have post-launch responsibilities. After the product ships, product managers don't get to kick up their heels and relax. There's still plenty of work to be done. Essentially, it's a cycle, so they don't really get to relax, right? Before the dust settles, quickly following a launch, product manager should lead a product retrospective session. This post-mortem meeting looks back on how the release went. It ensures lessons are captured and brought forward to improve things the next time around. Okay? These aren't just sessions for finger pointing and blaming others for what went wrong. Essentially, this shouldn't be done. Okay? When problems have been identified or determined, then there's no reason to blame anyone. Okay? Just take responsibility for it, and then after that, done. Okay? No blaming, no finger pointing, and then ask for ideas on how they should do it better next time. Right? It's an opportunity to offer praise, recognize good work, and collaboratively identify best practices and the areas needing improvement. As things mature, while everyone's always excited about version 1.0, a product's lifespan will include many ups and downs along the way. So you have your growth, maturity, decline. The role of product management also evolves as a product matures and travels through the various phases of its life cycle. Before launch, subject matter expertise was the priority for product managers. They're trying to learn as much as they can from as many sources as possible. They're prioritizing features for the MVP to make sure they're delivering something with real benefits to the market. After the initial launch, focus quickly shifts to growth. Product management worries about scale, distribution, reaching more people, while adding functionality that continues to propel growth. Once all those new users are on board, the emphasis transitions to retention. How long are they going to keep buying the product or using the product? It's all about what's required to keep customers happy and minimize churn. Okay. There's this one app I've been using, and whenever they do an update, I think it doesn't work on all, what do you call that, model of phones. And so sometimes it doesn't work on my phone, and it's really frustrating if you're unable to use the app suddenly, right? Most products inevitably begin to decline in usage, which presents new challenges. Product managers must consider how the product can be repurposed, extended, or pivoted toward new verticals. This maximizes the company's value for an asset they've invested time, effort, and dollars into over the years. Okay. Again, you've already exerted so much effort and of course so many resources on it. So you have to ensure that you maximize the benefits, the results. Final farewell, so decline, retirement of a product. Sometimes it's time to say a final goodbye to a product. It's become obsolete. There are better products out in the market. Product managers don't get to skip out on the tasks related to the end-of-life process either. They must take the lead, bringing the same consideration they spent on the product's birth and subsequent iterations. A proper shutdown requires extreme attention to detail. Product managers must map out all possible ramifications that may arise from pulling the plug, from contractual and financial obligations to data portability and migration assistance. There's plenty to juggle. Okay, there is not, again, it would cover different departments. Most important of all is how the event is communicated. Okay, so your customers must be handled carefully, particularly if you want to retain their business with other products. Stakeholders, customer service, strategic partners, and sales all require education, talking points, and escalation plans. So, for example, you're going to stop producing a certain product. So, who are affected? So, you have your workers working on that product. Where are they going to go? Okay, you have your marketing team. What are they going to do next? Right? And of course, you have your customers. Where are we going to buy more of these later on? Would you be able to, suggest alternatives? Things like that. Conclusion, product management strategy. Ultimately, our answer to the what is product management question is that the role is all about strategy. Product managers develop the product strategy and persuasively communicate it. Then they ensure all decisions concerning development, marketing, etc. reflect and support the strategy. If you are interested in what makes it, so you have this suggestion on what to read. Alright, so that's it for this one. We've covered a bit more than the previous video, but essentially it's good, right? You have your skills needed, and then you have your different activities, different things that must be done in a product management. Alright, so that's it for this one. Thanks and bye.